This is a interesting little pattern that you can throw into the program, and we like to call this touch it and touch down. So horses, their hands are like on their nose. That's how their dexterity comes from. They touch everything with their nose. They'll untie knots with their nose. And in level 1, if you can just get your horse to go around and touch different things that under your auspition, which means, it's your idea, so you cause your idea to become their idea. You turn a horse loose in this playground here. I'm sure by the time the night was over, most any horse would have gone around and touched everything out of curiosity. But getting horses to be curious at your level is, or under your auspition is a really important thing. So here in level 1, just getting it to where we can get them to go touch their nose on something. And then the second part will be when they want to start putting their feet on things. So there's a sign right there, the horse saying, I'm ready for level 2. I want to start putting my front feet on things. The second level of the touch it game will be when your horse has enough curiosity and confidence to start putting their front feet on something. So what I like to do, instead of just always go jump this or go over that or do this, I like to think of them really taking the time, kind of crawl before you run sort of thing, and put your nose on something. Put your neck over something. Push your chest against it. Get them to where you can see a difference in their confidence. It's like if a horse is really skeptical and he might touch it, might be leaning back and barely touching it with his nose. I'm looking for the horse to put an effort in. So like right there, I had to kind of reminder to go back there and give that a sniff. What I have found is that if you really take the time and make sure that they'll put their nose, then their neck, then their front feet, then their back feet, and really, instead of always going for the touchdown, allow the touchdown to happen. So, like even going between something here or going on something, I'm looking for, at this level, for them to be nose, okay, now my feet. When a horse jumps a jump, they're going to go over with the nose first. Then here comes the feet. If you can get a horse to where, as you increase your confidence, which is what the second level is really about, you start asking them not only to do it, just driving over, but maybe try something like this. Just try pushing them sideways, heading over there, and see if they get the idea that you're just wanting them to try, put some effort in, to go sideways, go over there, and touch it again with the nose and maybe the chest or the front feet. Atta girl. So what I want you to start thinking about is that a level 1 touchdown will be different than a level 2 touchdown, and a level 3 touchdown will be even a bigger kind of a touchdown. So you can have you can get them to just touch it, but when they touch it with confidence and a positive attitude. Now, Magic is your typical right brain introvert. She's not always, the most exuberant horse until she really gets her confidence, and she gets most of her confidence from me. And together, we can get her to look like she's a really confident horse. But her basic nature is to be withdrawn and skeptical. Now, Vanna here, her nature is to be skeptical also, but she's more physical about it. But here, see if we can get a real level 3 touchdown. Touchdown, all 4 feet. She went there with her nose, then her front feet, then her back feet. So think of the touchdown as your goal. So that was my goal, but I did it in little stages. Now let's see if we can get see if I can get another touchdown here and get her to be confident enough to just have only her hind feet on it. And think about horses. Their survival depends on their feet. If you can get them to have the trust in you to place their feet where you want them. Like here, the first time she saw this tarp, oh, I mean, she was like a cat hitting hot oil. And for her to have the confidence to come in here and just land in there and touch down, level 3. Now, more distance, longer rope. Let's see if we can keep my feet still and keep her feet moving. More of a challenge. So this is the kind of the idea, is to see if you can just keep challenging yourself, challenging your horse. Make a game out of it. To me, the game is horsemanship. And I just, it's a good, better, best. Never let it rest. Get you good, better, and your better, best. Okay, touch it with your nose. Now see if you can go nose, neck, all 4 feet, and go touch the other one. So it's not just touch it. Now that would have been easy from one barrel to the next, or if there'd have been 4 barrels there or a log there, but 1 barrel? What about this? A 20-foot deep lake. Touch it, drink it, front feet, hind feet, confidence, submerge the whole body. Put effort in. I'm doing this easy. Now, that's level 4 touchdown. Now you've got something. Attaboy, Casper. After someone has learned the 7 games, this is one of the first things I like to do, is to challenge them with a little puzzle. It's just a simple figure 8. You'll see it at a lot of my seminars. I'll ask somebody to stand up on a pedestal and get their horse to do a little figure 8 pattern. This is to see if they understand the principles of direct and support. And it's a pattern after a pattern, after a series of patterns. So this is a real good thing for you to learn how to direct a horse and how to support a horse, how to get a horse to yield to pressure and from pressure. So let's take it up a notch. A little more distance, a little more speed, longer rope. And this time I want you to pay a little bit of attention to not just her yielding to and from pressure, but to me driving her and drawing her. Right here, I drive her around the barrel, and I suck back and draw her. Just like drawing your breath in, draw the breath in. Now watch me push and drive her out and around. The next level, I'm looking for her to put more effort in, for her to show me that she understands the pattern. Watch it here again. Now push, drive. Now suck back and draw. This is called drive and draw. You're going to find in the end that a horse yielding to and from pressure and you being able to drive and draw is going to be one of the real secrets to your success with horses in all 4 savvies. Well, let's take it up another notch. Longer rope, more speed, more effort on her part, more exuberance, and another gait, not just at a trot. So here she's on a right lead, right canter, down to a walk, on up, making transitions. This is where now start asking her to put more in. And pretty soon when she gets more mental coordination, then we're going to see if she can't get more physical coordination. There we go. Drive and draw, yield to and from, simple changes of leads. This is where we're just taking it up a notch. There we go. Let's see there, a flying lead change. Let's see if we can get another one. Drive and draw, drive. Now draw. Okay, a little bit of resistance there or a misunderstanding. But something here for a horse's confidence and for the long run. Even there where she kind of lost the plot, no big deal. Be particular, but don't be critical. Relationships first. Taking it up to maybe an expert level, I remember the first time I saw a juggler, I was impressed, but I wasn't impressed until I saw him juggling chainsaws. So try going from just 1 rope to 2 ropes. This is multitasking for both you and the horse, because we've got to, as we go here, we've got to shorten the inside rope, but also at the same time, lengthen the outside. Then start taking it up and seeing how little you can move your feet. Set yourself on one side of the barrels, horse on the other side of the barrels. Now, I'm standing the barrels up here, which makes it even more challenging for me so that the ropes don't hang up on that. But anything that would be visible would be a good thing, visible to the horse. You know, it could be little stumps, it could be some cones, barrels laying down. What I want you to do is get the idea of managing the different ropes, getting your horse to putting more effort in, taking it up to the expert level. After you've been doing some figure eights, try this. It's like, instead of just 2 barrels, try challenging yourself to 4 barrels in a weave pattern. Again, now that drive and draw that you established back in on your figure 8 is really going to come in handy. You try walking a straight line, getting your horse to weave in and out of the pattern. You do your drive and draw, get slow and right. It's going to beat fast and wrong, but if you get going to where you can getting that going pretty good, then you can challenge yourself, maybe get going a little bit faster, get a little momentum. If it's about being progressive, it's about the patterns. It's not about perfection, it's about to see if your horse will put effort in to the pattern and to carrying more responsibility in the partnership. Now, more speed, more distance, longer ropes, farther away. It's all about being progressive. Drive and draw. It's not about perfection. It's about the pattern. It's about you challenging yourself, about challenge your horse to see if they've got more effort in on responsibility. When they learn a pattern, they're telling you that they're becoming more responsible. It's like kids doing the dishes without being told. That's what we do after we eat. That's the pattern. Now here she put a little exuberance in when I gave her a little drive there and went into the canter. It wasn't about the canter. It was about the pattern. Now, you want a task? Try this one. Try weaving your horse in and out. Get behind him. Use 2 reins. Now, just a little warning, don't start here. The only job I know you can start at the top is post hole digging. So, horses, if you start here, I used to ground drive all my horses before I did any single driving or playing with them on one rope, and boy, did I get them worried, because they would get skeptical, claustrophobic. I was trying to lead from behind. So this is more of an end result thing, but might be making it look easy here, but there's a lot of multitasking going on. This is more your expert level. What I want you to do is to think about testing your circles, testing your circling game to see if your horse has got the pattern. I want you to see if you can kind of establish a relationship with your horse where that as soon as you go to neutral, like here I've put the stick down, cocked my leg, kind of got into a relaxed state. It's like, don't make me come out of this at ease position. That's the game. What you want to do is you want to start testing to see if you and your horse can create a relationship of you maintain gait, direction, and look where you're going as long as I'm doing this. But as soon as I come out of this, then get ready to do something else. So like, for example, when I asked him to change direction there, I kind of changed my position like there. Now get ready to change direction. Casper is, if I could give him his basic nature, is right brain extrovert. With a very high spirit. So moving his feet is very, very easy for him. So a lot of times asking him to just maintain a gait at a trot is much harder than a canter. And here at a walk is even harder for him than at a trot. Now, maybe a left brain introvert might love to just walk around there. So as I'm asking him here to do transitions, I'm asking him to walk, go back up into a trot, different things like this. I'm asking him to maintain that mental stability of the pattern of the circle. All right, so now we're doing upward transitions from a walk into a trot. Again, he's asked the question, do you want me to come in? Now I'm going to start a traveling circle here. I've still got a real neutral kind of a position, sauntering here, just asking him to maintain a circle. Even when he changed directions, it's like, that's okay, just back out into the circle. The circle is one of the only games that we can really have a neutral position, and the horse can have a dynamic, active position. And so right here, I'm testing to see if he can see that I'm being still in neutral even though I'm walking. So this is what we would say is some really good things to challenge yourself with in level 2, the traveling circle. Still just on a 12-foot rope. You could do it on a 22-foot rope if you wanted. I think if you can just get the idea of the circle. What I look for in the third level of the circling pattern is to see how much more responsibility my horse will put into the effort. I want to have a good send, a good allow, and a good bring back. So the pattern is to see if your horse knows when you're asking him to what we call the allow. We are allowing him to stay out there. There's the send. So if I can stay neutral, whether I'm standing still or traveling, that's the allow, to allow the horse to go around rather than making the horse. I think that one of the differences between lunging and the circling pattern is that we're, instead of making him or micromanaging him into the circle or into the gate, we're asking him to maintain gait, maintain direction, and look where he's going, to become a better partner, for him to have more responsibility. So not only do I look for things like being able to, say, go out on a longer rope here, I'm also trying to see if he'll do it longer without me having to keep him going. Like, don't make me pick up the stick. Now, even though he's just, changing gaits here and stuff like that, we're just starting the session, so what I try to do is to be really flexible in the very beginning of the session and try to, get him to get his act together more and more as I go. So more laps. I like to be able to get my horse to show me his sense of responsibility by maintaining gait and direction, looking where he's going for more laps. We've got transitions there. I'm looking for his, I think another thing is it's his responsibility to pay attention to me. And so like there, he paid attention when I came out of neutral and said, hey, we're going to change something. We might change gaits, but we changed directions. Think about your responsibility when you're driving down the freeway. When you're going down the freeway, everybody's expecting you to keep in the lane and keep about the same speed, and to maybe signal before you change lanes, all those kind of things. So this is kind of what we're looking for here, is for him to stay in his lane. Now, as I travel, I'm traveling. I really like to get it to where, when I first start, I just go from one place to the other, not too long. In other words, I didn't go but about 30 feet there. And it just happened to be that, oh, by the way, where I found a new neutral spot is there's a log to look at. Now, whether he jumps it or not is not really the big deal. What's more is that his mental coordination, like there where he's off on his leads there, that he gets his mental coordination. Like there, he jumped the log and he changed leads. That's a sign of more mental coordination. The physical coordination will come after he understands that it's his responsibility to be thinking about the circle as well as acting out the circle, okay? Looking where he's going. I like that. It's really good. So another traveling circle. Again, the neutral attitude that I've got while I'm traveling. I'm not watching him. I'm not worried about him maintaining gait, but I'm trusting that he will respond, but I'm just as ready to correct, not more one than the other. All right, the fence, like even right there where the fence is coming into play, I'm kind of judging and gauging all that stuff. Look at how much more purity of gait he's got there. I'm really liking that. Now I'm asking him, pay attention, change gaits. I found myself a new neutral spot. I like the fact that he's throwing some slack into the rope. This is telling me that, hey, he not only understands the circle pattern, he's getting to where it's not dependent on that rope. Again, for a horse with his spirit level and his horsenality, it's more challenging for him to walk around this circle. See there, oh, I got to move my feet, than it is to trot or canter. So every time I'm making a game out of us getting closer and closer together, getting it to where we become one. I heard someone say one time, "Here's son, here's a long rope. You can either have fun with it or you can hang yourself." And I soon found out what that meant, because like where I threw my coils out there, you know, I'll take us stepping in that and letting that get tied around my ankle. A horse gets scared, and all of a sudden the hang yourself by the ankle is something that going from skilled to expert is where you start the realization. What I'm looking for here is I'm looking for his responsibility. Look how much slack he's putting in the rope. Horses are by nature good judges of distance and approach. And I love the fact that when I can throw the rope out there, he finds the end of it, it gives me some slack. I take in a couple of coils, he finds the end of it, takes in some slack. These are the things I'm looking for, to see how little I can do and how much he will do. How responsive he'll be to suggestion, how responsive he'll be to following that feel there with that shorter rope. Good skills for both horse and human. Coiling that rope, getting those coils good. Rope handling skills, again, are going to be something to be really good for you someday when you want to get to expert level with riding, because then you're going to have those reins. Like right there, I dropped a coil in there, but I was able to pick it back up. There we go. Throw those coils out of the way so I don't hang myself on a foot. See if I can get him to draw and drive out. All right. Now he's a little stiff there in his hind leg. There's a couple of seminars ago, he had a slip and a fall in a slippery place and had a little stifle injury, but he just loves to move and loves to play. And this is actually part of his rehabilitation, is just light exercise without weight of saddler and rider, asking him to mentally act and interact. Look at that flying lead change. Coordination over the jump and maintaining the gait and his lead. When I first got Casper, that seemed to be one of the things that really was hard for him, was for him to have, to keep his hind leads. And part of it was a shoeing aspect. But the other part of it was just his mental coordination, and he's so coordinated physically. He could canter around on the outside lead. He could canter crossfiring, and it didn't make that much difference to him. But now he's gaining the mental, emotional, and physical skill of keeping his balance, and it's easier for a horse to keep their balance going to the left on the left lead. So these are the things that I'm looking for. I'm all the time got that good, better, best. Never let it rest. Get my good, better, my better, best. And Casper's better best going. So maintaining gait, maintaining direction, looking where he's going, putting a positive spin on things. He looked where he was going there. He didn't try to resist the jump. Doing more while I'm doing less. He's light on the rope, but powerful in his attempts to do what I'm asking him to do. So I mean, there's lots and lots of good things here. Now, some other kind of circles we can do, some zone 5 driving circles. Again, coordinating the inside rope, it's a little shorter, the outside rope's a little longer on my part, but on his part, to feel what that outside rope is doing. And when does it shorten up? When does he need to pay attention to make the transition or to make a turn? These are some things that can help your horse physically get his act together and to get collected. Again, the circle patterns. rather than just thinking about loading your horse into the trailer, I want you to think about the trailer loading pattern and levels of that pattern. One of the things I like to do is to help people not just be direct line thinkers, because horses can feel our intention when we go to load them in the trailer. So what I want to do here is I want to get her to where she just touches it. I'm not looking for the touchdown, okay? I might be wanting her to touch it. I might want to be wanting to get a first down here or there, but I want to try to present something to you that will not only help you not be a direct line thinker, but also to not just leave it at a kind of a mediocre stage. So what I'm going to do first is get you to think in terms of, don't think about getting them in the trailer. Think of it going in stages of touches or little touchdowns. You know, it might take 4 or 5 touchdowns to win a game. All right? So I like to really think about getting them to where they're really confident to touch it with zone 1. Just, okay, I have no problem getting my nose and my neck near the trailer or over the ramp, this sort of thing. And I'm really trying to show her, I'm not thinking about you going in that trailer. That's not what I'm asking you to do here. Now, even though Magic knows how to go in the trailer, I want you to grab the concept here that if you have a horse that you've been following our program, the program of patterns, that as you go this way, even if your horse has never been in the trailer, these are the kind of things that if you will take this this lateral thinking approach. Now here, look what I'm doing. I'm asking her to put her zone 3, put her ribs near the trailer. I'm asking her to show me that she's got the confidence. I'm not thinking about going in the trailer. This trailer happens to have a ramp, so I'm just asking her to go between me and the trailer, but she happens to be a ramp. If your trailer doesn't have a ramp, just ask them to go through here, show you that they're willing to go between you and that trailer and to stand there and relax. So these would be the first attempts at it. This is a level 2 concept. Now, I've got her nose facing toward the door, but in the first session or the first levels of what we were talking about, we didn't even dare face her nose toward the door. So I want you to think about just doing these patterns in stages. Now here, even though she's willing to go up the ramp and go on in, before I ever let her in, I'm gonna say, do you know how to get out? Do you have any idea how many horses I've seen show up at competitions, clinics, and they've got them in the trailer, but they can't get them out of the trailer. It's again, direct line thinking that really gets horses in trouble with humans. There was never a horse trailer in nature's design when they invented the horse. But we humans want to have our horse be our partner, and sometimes we like to go to pony parties somewhere or a trail ride or something. We want to be able to go in there. So what I want you thinking about is stages of confidence. Now the pattern of getting the horse to where the trailer is a sanctuary rather than a prison or a trap. Little things here, just a little approach, retreat with the trailer door or the panel that holds her in. This happens to be a slant load trailer, which is basically what I recommend because horses recommend it. But being able to follow this pattern and then keep it going and start saying to your horse, hey, you've done this, let's extend that pattern. Let's see if we can get you to have more and more and more responsibility. All right? So there I've got the window open behind my hat there. You saw me look in there a second ago. I could see what she was looking at. So I'm going to ask her now to see if she can follow a feel out of there. These are the skills. This is the third level. We're looking for you to have more skills. So again, not just being a direct line thinker, but not just sitting on your laurels either and allowing it to be something you go, yep, well, my horse goes in the trailer, that's good enough.
On the theme of good, better, best, never let it rest, get your good, better, and your better, best, I want you to think about taking each pattern and expanding it. I want you to think about each pattern, doing it 4 to 7 times until it turns into a series of patterns that becomes a program. This is where it's really at. Again, not just being a direct line thinker, not just resting on your laurels going, well, my horse can go in the trailer, that's good enough. If you really want to have a perfect partnership, if you really want to have a horse that can really reach its potential and to reveal itself, this is the things that I'd like to see you do, is turn the patterns into a series of patterns and the series of patterns into a program. So really in this program that we're presenting to you, that's what I'm trying to get you to do, is to have a program. And don't just think about going in forward. Test your horse's confidence. See if your horse can really understand you. Get creative. Think about backing your horse into the trailer. I've seen more people who live by rules and regulations, like, for example, my horse must always back out of the trailer. I never let my horse turn around. Never say never, don't always say always, usually say usually. The horse that can solve puzzles is the horse that can adapt. The horse that can adapt is the horse that will, whenever things change, and as far as I know, the only constant thing in life is change, that's the horse that will always show up and be your partner, that will always come out of every situation being able to think its way through the puzzle. There just a moment ago, she was licking her lips. She was going, yep, I can handle this. I understand what the goal was here. Fix it up and wait. Your horse is looking for your leadership. The first time I ever saw a real master, his name was Ronnie Willis. This is pretty much what it looked like. He did something like this as he was shaking hands with me behind his back, and his horse backed up a ramp into a stock truck. I knew I had seen a real master. So think about how little you can do and how much the horse can do. That's when you know you've taken the patterns and created a program. See there, I'm waiting. I'm not looking, I'm feeling. I'm feeling of her, feeling for her, so we can feel together. Might as well take it to the limits. Leadership from behind. That's really hard for horses. It's really challenging. But what's good, something that can be good for both man and beast, is consistency for great learning and patterns, and then adding variety, because it is the spice of life. I'll never forget the times that Troy Henry would have me take a really scared horse and nervous and unconfident and get him to where he was confident enough to walk over a bridge. And I thought it was good enough. But then he had me get the horse to where it would put 1 foot off or 1 foot on. And then Tom Dorrance would come in and bring a tarp or bring a ball or have something. And at first the horses were scared to death of it because they're born skeptics, cowards, claustrophobics, panicaholics by nature in various degrees. And then, in just a little bit of time, the horse would be doing something like this, pushing the ball. I remember thinking, wow, I couldn't believe that horse who was so scared of that ball was not only pushing the ball. Next thing you know, the horse taking it another level ahead. In a couple of days, the horse was retrieving the ball. And again, when horses understand the purpose and the meaning, it's amazing what they'll do. I am one of the luckiest people in the world, because the generation of people where Tom Dorrance came from, where Troy Henry came from, Ronnie Willis came from, they used horses for a living. And these were the things that they would observe on a regular basis. Maybe they weren't playing with balls, but the horses were
doing jobs. The horses were going out into the fields. The horses knew where to turn because they did it over and over and over again, because the horses understood the purpose and the meaning. What I try to do is help people understand what their horses can come to understand. Horses are smart. People are usually intelligent, which means we base things on reasoning power. But I have found, beyond the shadow of a doubt, that horses do have reasoning power. Horses can develop more of it. They actually can increase their intellect. And to me, little things like this are the things that help horses reveal their real potential. Horses never cease to amaze me. They are nature in its finest form. I really believe that if we can get horses to interact and play with us, that this is a real sign that they feel safe and they feel comfortable, because they won't play unless they do. So anything we can do to get the horse to where it's as much fun for them as it is for us, I know that we're on the right track.
When you're thinking about what do you go out and do with your horse every day, these patterns will give you guidance. And it doesn't mean that's all you do, but it should be a part of what you do every day. And you don't go out and do every single savvy. It's right, okay, I'm going to go online, liberty, freestyle, finesse. You don't do that. You might come out today and say, well, I don't have a lot of time, so I'm going to spend, I'm going to invest that time playing with my horse on the ground. And I'm going to go and do some online patterns. Or I might do some liberty. Other days you might do some online and freestyle. Other days you might go, well, today's going to be kind of freestyle and finesse. So you can start to just have this repertoire that you call from. And horses enjoy it, because instead of going, oh no, we're just going to ride again, or oh no, we're just going to do this again, it's always interesting. It's like, oh, we might be playing on the ground today. Oh, we might be doing this. And before you know it, horses are looking over the rail going, can we play today? This is interesting. This is not something I'm just getting drilled at day in, day out. You've got 4 savvies in which to play. And the other thing is, in the beginning with levels 1 and 2, you're going to do more online and freestyle than anything else, because they're your foundations on the ground and riding for the more advanced pieces, which are liberty and finesse. So if you start with those, you'll then find by the time you've completed level 2 in those, and you've dabbled with a bit of level 2 stuff in the liberty and finesse, then at levels 3 and 4, those things are going to come easy. This should never be difficult. It should never be traumatic for you and your horse. And if you follow the patterns the way that they're laid out, which ones to do first, you make little adjustments according to horseanality. Well, I might need to do more transitions early with this horseanality, or I might need to just do more laps with this horseanality. All those things are going to help you to think like a horseman. Think like Pat Parelli. That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to understand what he does so naturally with horses, that he's learned to do after many, many years of thinking and studying with great masters. And now he's passing this on to us so that we don't have to wait 30, 40 years to discover it. We can start right away, tomorrow, whether we've just got our horse or we're working at high levels with our horses. This is good for horses and for humans. Now, Pat Parelli has all this in his head. He can mentally gauge where a horse is at and then know where he's taking them and keep track of that. But not all of us are able to do that, especially when we're beginning and we're just taking this journey for the first time. It sometimes is important for us to keep track of that. And so on the charts that we've given you, it's a map of your progress. It helps you see what you've done and where you're going, and it keeps order in your mind, because becoming a horseman is a discipline. And even if you go, well, I don't want to be some great fancy horseman, it's not about that. You're in charge of a horse, and you need to know how to lead that horse and to take him step by step and develop that partnership. And so if you can start to become a little bit more disciplined about that, you can still have fun within it, but you need to know, when I go out, what is the next thing I'm going to do? What can my horse expect today? And what am I building on for tomorrow? The Parelli program is made up of a few things. It's skills, such as the 7 games in 4 Savvies, it's patterns, and then it's never-ending self-improvement. So when you go, okay, never-ending self-improvement, what does that mean? It means that I'm going to start in the level 1, and I'm going to go to level 2, and then if I want to go ahead, I'm going to go to level 3, and then to level 4. So it's never-ending progression, just little increments every time you play with your horse. But sometimes you need support. You might have questions. Oh, wow, something happened today that I didn't expect, or I'm thinking more deeply about this subject and I need help on that, or I'm not quite sure how I would do this thing. Can I get a close-up or some help on that? That's why we have the Savvy Club, because this is how we give you never-ending support. Anytime that you need help, you need to see something, you need to hear from other people who are going through the same thing, the Savvy Club is a community that does that with expert leadership. You're going to hear from us. We answer your questions. There's already thousands of questions with answers and video clips now that you're going to be able to see. So you shouldn't spend one day being any more frustrated than you need to be. When you get frustrated, it's just a lack of knowledge, or it's just a lack of knowing that, hey, everything's okay. And that's what the Savvy Club is here to do for you. We're not just giving you this information saying, goodbye, good luck. It's like, we're here to help you in whatever ways you need.
After Mr. Henry passed away, I started traveling everywhere I could to share his philosophy of horsemanship could be obtained naturally through communication, understanding psychology versus mechanics, fear, and intimidation. And as I started trying to help people, first I tried to help people just with riding. But as I went around, I started seeing the need, number one, to help people with horses on the ground. And I realized that what he had really taught me was that horsemanship was way more than riding. So rather than just dragging a horse from point A to point B, tying him to point B, or lunging him around in a circle, which seems to be what I still see very prominently around the world, that there is actually a logic, a way of thinking, something that is intuitive about how to handle a horse on the ground, so that there's nothing that's counterproductive. Well, this is what I think a lot of people don't realize on the ground, is that there are things that we can do that are actually very counterproductive to the horse. We want him to be light in our hands, very responsive when we ride, yet we teach him to drag on the ground. So I guess one of the ideas here is really to teach people how horses feel, think, act, and play once we have a rope on them.
For years I've been watching Pat Parelli and trying to figure out, why he does things, and when he goes out and plays with his horses, what has he got in his mind? So I've always asked him a million questions about that. Why did you do this? Why did you do that? And pretty soon he found a way to stop me asking all those questions, and he says, well, I think very systematically, and I think in patterns, and I have this blueprint. I know where I'm going, and I know the stages that I'm taking a horse through. So basically, that's what we've done, is put those thoughts down on paper. So we've made Pat's brain visible. When he goes out, he doesn't just play the 7 games, 7 games, 7 games. He takes certain patterns and he gets the horses to understand those patterns. So he can start the pattern and the horse goes, oh, I bet we're doing this pattern. Then the horse can get mentally involved and you can feel the partnership. It's like when you dance with somebody. When they know the dance and you know the dance, the harmony is incredible. But when one knows a dance and the other one doesn't, it's like, well, now I've just got to try and keep up, and figure out what you're trying to do. And there's a little bit of stress that's involved with that. But this way, horses start to get even more confident and even more of a partner, because they go, I know what we're going to do and I can play my part in this. When you watch people play with horses on the ground, it's fascinating. And you can read horses better and you can make connections. And the best place to develop a relationship with a horse is on the ground. And that's why online is so important, and it's the very, very first thing that you need to start doing with your horse.
What I'd like to do is share some thoughts with you about what I'm thinking about when I'm playing with my horses online. First of all, when I play with my horses online, I try to help them learn how to deal with pressure. The way that humans deal with pressure and the way that horses deal with pressure are completely different. We're predators, they're prey animals. And so learning how to appropriately respond to pressure, like there with the carrot stick, if I'm pushing it around or something like that. So I want them to learn how to follow a feel, like there where the rope hung up on that tire. I was actually proud of Magic that she felt that and that she asked a question, does that mean stop? So if we can think about the 7 games, there's the friendly game, the porcupine game, the driving game, yo-yo game, circling game, sideways game, and squeeze game. There are also 7 patterns. So like right here, I'm asking her to go into a pattern. What I'm trying to get her to do is to multitask, actually, which is to maintain gait, to maintain direction, look where she's going, and, follow a feel in a sense. When she gets out at the end of the rope, or like there when I offered her a new communication, I wanted her to respond appropriately. But I also want to not teach the patterns so robotically that they turn into robots. In other words, here, even with the same log, I started going sideways because I interrupted her pattern. So I created a pattern through consistency, and I interrupted the pattern and said, now, stop for a moment, think, respond this way, go sideways. So here's the pattern. When I dip down and look at her hindquarters, turn and face me. So this is a squeeze game. I want her to squeeze, to go, turn, face, and wait. So watch her. Turn, face, and wait, wait, wait. See what I'm saying? Wait. Getting the weight in there. If you don't throw these little things in, or if you don't understand the patterns right, you'll actually teach your horse the wrong program. Horses are like computers. They may never do what you want, but they always do what you tell them or what you program them to do. So here, I'm asking her to do a yo-yo game, but I was asking her to do it by feel. Now I'm going to bring in several different horses so that you can see different approaches with different horsenalities, different spirit levels, just different ways of that different horsenalities think or act. This is Vanna, and what I try to do is to get her to not only, when I talk about responding to pressure appropriately, it's not just the pressure that I put, it's the pressure of the environment. Just like here, I had to realign her here for these, for this obstacle with these 2 tires set in the ground. And I really try to get a horse to where I want to be very particular about things, but not critical. So that, like there, for example, she, it would have been nice if she would have got all 4 feet on it and either walked across it or stayed on it, either one. But it was like, okay, you gave it a try. It wasn't something she went out of her way to not do. So I just nonchalantly said, oh, okay, let's try it again. And this is what really keeps horses trying for you. I guess the real thing is we got to get the message to the feet. No matter what it is, you've got 1,200 pounds of confidence or 1,200 pounds of no confidence out on the end of that rope there. Or when you're riding it and trying to get a horse to respond appropriately to pressure, in the end, it really means getting the message to the feet, getting the feet to do what you want. So one of the easiest things to think about is to get the mind going in the correct direction. So that's where patterns really work. Horses are pattern animals. I actually learned about patterns on a dairy farm one time because I, quickly found out what every dairy farmer knows, that the cows come in pretty much exactly the same order every time. It's a pattern, and at the same time, in the same way, every day. These are because horses or prey animals play pecking order games with each other and establish patterns. Patterns of behavior, patterns of who goes first, who goes second. If you can think about what patterns do,
they teach the horse through consistency. Consistency is a great teacher. Too much consistency is darn boring though, so you have to have a little variety. So this is where now, let's say you teach your horse the 7 patterns, when to be still, when to follow a feel, when to follow a suggestion, when to go straight forward and backwards on a straight line, when to do circles, when to yield sideways, when to turn and face and wait. Then you start adding the variety in by having even just the simplest of obstacles. A lot of times when we put our seminars on, we just bring a tarp, a ball, a pedestal, a horse trailer, a couple of barrels, maybe a pole or 2. And as long as you've got, let's say, 5 obstacles in the ball, you've got 5 obstacles in times 7 games, all of a sudden you can go, well, wait a minute, that's 35 different options. That's where, to me, how you start blending in the consistency and the variety. And getting horses to become your partner, just like Vanna here when she was a little bitty baby, her mama said, follow me, stick with me, do it, get your feet to do what my feet do. We're going to go across the creek here because it's shallowest and I know best, or whatever. We're going to jump the jump, go over the log here, or we're going to go around the log, whatever it is. For her survival, she had to do what Mama did, synchronize with her mom's mental, emotional, and physical actions. So in reality, this is the value of of patterns. That you start off with something very simple. There's only 7 basic patterns. And then you start having either combinations thereof, or you start taking something simple like this so that she doesn't just go, oh, okay, it's a log, jump it. So level 2 for me is about more confidence, more emotional collection, which I call impulsion, and having fun for both the horse and the human. Probably one of the things that inspired us to create this new program, being able to share with you what levels 1 through 4 looks like on each savvy, is that a lot of times, a lot of our students over the last 15 years or so kind of get stuck in level 1, maybe even stuck in level 2. And we used to just only show what was behind curtain number 1 or curtain number 2 to keep people focused. But then I don't want that to become a level 1 or level 2 jail sentence for you, particularly your horse, because this is where the 7 games can turn into the 7 jobs, or worse yet, the 7 tortures. So think about the simplicity of the patterns. Think about a kindergarten teacher teaching a child the ABCs. It might be boring for her, but she knows that every class has to start again with the A, B, C, D. But if she keeps going like that, they're gonna get, there's a point where they're being progressive and they start having the ability to learn the alphabet by heart. This is what your horses are asking you to do, to be consistent but progressive. So here, this is the pattern of follow the feel. It's like a test, like take diagnostics. You take your car somewhere and they do a set of diagnostics. And they go, oh yeah, it needs a new timing chain, or it needs this, or it needs that. And I use the 7 games to see if there's any holes in my horse's program. So can I ask her here to follow a feel, even in a unique situation? Can I get you to pick up your feet in this unique situation? So, like if I am thinking about my horse, and let's say he's got a little trouble shoeing or something like that, standing for the shoer, maybe some things like this are the kind of things that can go, geez, if I can stand and have my feet brought up, picked up, and I can handle that and rebalance myself like this, I can do it anytime. I mentioned earlier that different horses, different horsenalities, and Vanna is by nature a right brain extrovert. You'll find as your horse gets more skilled and understands more confident, that they'll start not looking like right brain extroverts. They just look like, the kind of horse that people go, where'd you buy that horse? So what I like to think about is what is good for your horse's personality. Like for a right brain extrovert, things like this would be, were very challenging. Maybe a left brain introvert might go, all right, who cares? Big deal. And this is where, I remember one time I heard Tom Dorrance say, the human takes all the credit and gives the horse all the blame. And a lot of times a certain horseanality, people go, look how good I am, because my horse can tolerate this. And a lot of people tend to avoid exactly what they need or what their horse needs. So what I want you to think about as we go through different levels, level 1 is made so that you can be safe, your horse can feel safe and be safe with you. Level 2 is about your confidence as well as the horse's confidence. This is to help you get the skills that you need. For example here, going to a longer rope. One of the things that I learned early on in my natural horsemanship career, because I had to change from traditional methods where I, held everything on a tight rein and micromanaged the horse, that when I started getting skilled with longer ropes, I got to where allowing the horse to drift through my hands and giving him a feel, but see, like right there, she's starting to like lean out, because she wants to move her feet, and she was leaning out against that rope there, but I still had another couple of feet there, and I just allowed her to slip. So kind of watch this either where the rope gets tangled on an obstacle, or if you can see it slipping in and out of my hands. These are some things that later on, when we get to the savvy of riding, this is what's going to give you the skills to be able to offer the horse what it needs through the reins. So this is what I think is really unique about our program. So as we're looking here, we're still thinking about patterns. We're thinking about the skills that we need. And like here you see where our horse here is, Vanna's got her legs all crossed up. She just now got them untangled. In other words, she was cross-firing. That's a skill that a horse needs to multitask and listen to you and rebalance themselves, go around through the obstacles and all the different things. The tree interrupts the pattern. She can, when I first started this, she'd hear that zzz that the rope makes, especially the 45-foot rope. It's got little coils in it, little twists in it rather, where the ropes, 3 little ropes are put together, and when it would make that noise, it would make her panic at first. Now when she hears it, she goes, oh, I better prepare to feel what the next thing to do is. So there's a lot of things that are going on here. And again, keeping the patterns really simple, asking her to maintain gait, maintain direction, and look where she's going. In other words, to become a great partner, a horse has got to get to where they can put a positive effort into what you're wanting. I want her to come up to every obstacle and look for the positive thing to do. Now, I felt like that was a positive thing to do. She saw the tarp and did it. Before, it felt like when she saw those tires, she kind of avoided it. Now, that was a positive thing. Let's watch what she does here. See, she's thinking negative there. She's going, oh, I want to go around it. Truth is, I really would loved her to see it and go, oh, just like put that same effort she put into that. Can you see it? Watch her ears. Okay. There's an example of evasion. There's another example of evasion. It's just objectively speaking, there's an example of putting effort in. Here's an example. Looks like she's going to put the effort in. Let's watch here. So we're just trying to be objective. Okay, now that was, to me, a little bit of her and a little bit of me. Oop. But it was a lot better than her putting the evasion. So it's like, that's the game. You keep playing the game. It's not about always them doing it exactly the way you want. It's not always about obedience, 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 never make a mistake. It's about
taking the time to allow her to learn what it is that you want. Matter of fact, when I say love, language, and leadership, this is one of the best ways in the world to show a horse how much you care about them, by taking the time to help them. Okay, what pattern are we on now? This is only one of the hardest things in the world for a skeptic, claustrophobic, panicaholic animal to do. Back through something narrow and out of nature, like two tires sticking out of the ground. Helps their confidence, builds your rapport, builds skills for both of you. The better a horse can back up, the better they can do everything else. Horses are forwardaholics by nature. So this is where the yo-yo game and using it with obstacles. Okay, now right there you can feel, or sense maybe a little bit of tension as she came through there. She was like the feel of the rope and the what do I have to do in space here, in a spatial environment, going through those. It bothered her a little bit. I take note of this, of all these little things as I'm going along. Because as I go through each level, what I'm doing is I'm going, not only the amount of things that a horse can do, but what quality do they do it? You know, we originally called level 3 the refinement level. It was about the horses doing the same thing they were doing before, but with a lot more class, a lot more elegance, a lot more skill. Like here, that's looking pretty nice. She's going, get out of the way. You don't have to, see how the rope is slack? If I could give you this, that every time you play with a horse online, if you could know that you're heading, you want to get that pattern so good that you're actually heading that horse toward liberty. So the rope then becomes a safety net. There's an example of taking sideways to another level by going over something instead of just in front of it, but also the same thing going away from you, side passing or sideways away from you, but sideways toward. So now, again, just positive, progressive, and natural is what I'm knowing that all the top students that I've ever had, they kept the progressiveness at the right level. They don't get ahead of the horse. And I used to have, probably my biggest problem was that my ambition was my best suit, and my ambition also was what got in my way. So I never had trouble with being progressive. I actually had to temper it. We're somewhere, that's why when we say positive, progressive, and natural, what is the natural progressiveness that particular horse, or that particular horse that shows up that day? Because I've had with this mare, with Vanna, I've had days where she was calm, cool, and collected from the moment she came out of the pasture. I've had other days that she looked like a wild hare. So being positive, expect a lot, accept a little, reward often. So what I'm trying to do here on these longer lines is get her, as you see some of my students in the background there, playing with their horses, allowing the horses to do what they do naturally, but under our auspication. And I've ridden so many different horses in my life, and I'd had horses that just, I felt like, man, I wish you would look where you were going. Well, I've discovered over the years that some horses do it naturally, and other horses can learn it as a skill. Vanna's actually one of those horses that a lot of times when I first started riding her, it didn't feel like she had any, it didn't matter where her feet were going. It didn't matter if she was going through a mud bog or upper hill or down a hill or over a jump. It just felt like she wasn't thinking or looking. But as I've been playing with her more and more and more, she starts to feel of the obstacle, feels for the obstacle, and goes and does the appropriate thing. So these are mental, emotional, as well as physical skills that a horse can learn. The simple patterns. I want to see if she has a positive reflex. Now, like there, she had a little hesitation. She kind of went, can I go right? Can I go left? You can feel it. It'll be something you can feel. Like there, she's going, you see how that, she's feeling that? See if she feels the rope? No problem. Some horses, going over the jump is easier than going around it. Other horses is like, jump. You sure I can jump? And you'd be surprised how this size of a jump is pretty easy for most horses. I'm not asking her to do something that only a world-class athlete can do. And I think most people are surprised what horses, even just the average horse, can do. One of the things I keep in mind, I'm always trying to develop super horses. So I've got that in my mind. So level 4 is just the fundamentals of performance. So you may not be trying to develop a super horse. You may just want a super partner. You may just want a horse that's going to be a great pet and pasture ornament for you. But either way, these are just great skills here. So I'm taking the circle now and asking her to get every time smaller. Asking her to feel and think. That a girl. I'm asking her to look for those subtleties. I just lean down a little bit as I'm sitting on that log, and she's come over to me there. Job well done. Horses don't care how much you know till they know how much you care. We can use, for example, the pattern of the friendly game, which one of them is, don't just do something, stand there. So when I ended that right there and just brought her back to me and took all my energy down, that was like I might as well given her $1 million reward. What horses, the way to reward a horse is completely different than you would reward a dog or a human being. So for her, just the fact that we got to stop was really good. Now, can you guess what's going on here? I'm going to ask her. Okay, she saw the obstacle. She wanted to do something positive, but I wanted her to think a little farther out. I want her to go, don't just get on this bridge like you've done 100 times. I want you to think your way to the bridge, on the bridge. Now, there was a yo-yo pattern. Before we went on the bridge, it was the porcupine pattern. So let's watch and just see the things you can do here. I'm going to put myself in a compromised position and see if I can get her to do more and me to do less. Oh, can you feel that your feet are about to go off there, Vanna? Yeah. See, I'm actually wanting her to become a puzzle solver. I'm putting her in a puzzling situation. And I want her to figure it out. I want her to strain her brain. I want her to see if she can stay up here and squeeze her way through a half turn. Turn, face, and wait. So something very simple. We started back in level 1. Go between me and a fence or something like that. Turn, face, and wait. As we extrapolate it out and build it into something much more challenging. See if she can make it all the way around here. So we're asking her to make a circle on the bridge. I think probably one of the things that is easy for me is imagination. I must have gotten an extra dose of it somewhere. And so these hopefully will give you some ideas. There's the circling game. See how I made a game out of that? And I've seen people that maybe didn't have so much imagination just walk over that bridge 100 times, maybe even 100,000 times. Pretty soon the horse goes, okay, I can walk over the bridge. So for a right brain extrovert, these are some things that we can do to maybe challenge the horse to think more rather than react so much just with their feet. Don't just do something. Think about it. And what's this pattern? It's going to take some strain of the brain here to go sideways. Front feet on, hind feet off. So it takes good orchestration on my part, but it takes a lot of thinking on her part. Getting the idea now? Einstein said imagination is even more valuable than knowledge. The patterns that horses learn the pattern. It's a great thing for consistency. In other words, you want your horses to be consistent. Your job is to add in the variety. I'll never forget the first time I heard, I think it was Lou Rawls sing the national anthem in his style, and and kind of shocked the world. And now all the artists do a very consistent thing, that the words are the same, but they add their variety. So again, the pattern is something that you want your horses to be consistent at, but your job is to add in the variety. Expect a lot, accept a little, reward often. Never forget that horses are born skeptics, cowards, claustrophobics, and panicaholics. So what you want your horse to be is curious instead of skeptical. You want your horse to be brave or confident instead of cowardly. You want your horse to respond instead of react. So things like this, you're asking the horse to do all of these things. Be calm, smart, brave, and athletic to get the message, to allow you to help them to get the message down to the feet. Expect a lot, accept a little, reward often. As we get to thinking about level 4, maybe one of the words that might come up to you is expert. Whenever you watch somebody snow ski or play a musical instrument or ride a horse, you can't help but very quickly analyze the level that they're at. Are they beginners? Are they someone who's kind of just learning, or is it somebody who's starting to get some pretty good skills, or is it somebody who's that person's expert or that horse's expert? So I like to think of it in that term, and I like to think of level 4 really being the fundamentals of performance. When I'm trying to build a super horse, I want to build a foundation before I do specialization. I want to have my horse as a foundation being able to do level 4 in all 4 savvies. So as we go here online, we start looking for that horse really responding and with true understanding. So like right there, for her to be able to yield to and from the pressure, I put the flag up in the air over the top of her personal space. For her to, like here, her leads are, she went on the off lead there. I'm looking for her to be able to coordinate her physical, her mental, and her emotional. So kind of watch her and see if you can see. It's like, what would a horse? There, she missed her hind lead behind. So I'm looking for her to really get her act together here. So when we say act together, another word for it is collection. Collection is mental, emotional, and physical. Respect is mental collection. There, she got her hind leg. So there, she's going to the right. She was able to pick that up. So those are the kind of things that I look for to say, well, when is the session starting to get over with? Now she's missed her left hind. So this is something that, for her in particular, is not always easy for her, getting her leads and stuff. Now I've shifted and gone over to going sideways here. I don't want to use the patterns until they become drills. I do not drill horses. But I'll take note of the fact that she's made some progress on her leads. She doesn't have the weight of the saddle of the rider on her. So this is how I'm going to approach her getting a really, really good foundation. What I love about what right here is she's starting to really think her way through things. I fixed it up so that I was in the way and for her to go in between me. And so she said, do you want a squeeze game? And I go, well, kind of, but how about a couple of yo-yos first? How about if I do something really simple here, like make a combination of patterns, all right? So for example, if I ask her to yield around me, and you can see she can go, I want you to watch something here, because she can go away from me on this side because there's no fence. But on the other side of me where the fence is, it's actually
quite narrow. And what I'm looking for her to do is to have the confidence to do a circling game and to go around me and between that fence and not be worried that I'm going to shut her down or do something to her, okay, or change anything. So I'm looking for her to get consistent. I'm going to neutral. Neutral is almost the ultimate friendly game. After she went through there a few times, then I change it up and I say, now, this time, go from circles to yo-yos. So we're going to bring Casper in here, play some more interesting and intricate games. This is, of course, pretty standard driving. A lot of people would call it ground driving. I like to think of the driving game as something you can do from in front of the horse, the side of the horse, and behind the horse. There's a lot of ways to drive a horse. Most people drive a horse crazy. So, like with Vanna, one of the strategies I use, since she wants to move her feet so much, is I allow her to do that up front a lot, and then of the session, and then I gradually get her to do more thinking, more slow things, more things that involve a lot more thinking down to her feet. Casper here, he's a late teenager. He's about 18 years old here. And so we've been fiddling around with things since I think we got him when he was 7 or 8. And as I go along, one of the things that was his biggest bugaboos when I first got him was anything from behind him. He could not stand to have anything behind him. Just if something in the wind. So still today, it's something that's there a little bit, but I try to get him more and more to get where he can have the confidence to have things behind him. So one of the things, just even like you saw me there, ask him to back up to me, but just the fact that I'm behind him sometimes is one of his big challenges. So I'm trying to, right here, one of the things I'm thinking about is the porcupine game, because I'm trying to get him, trying to see if he makes sense of all of the stimulus I'm giving him with the rope on the right, the rope on the left that goes behind him. And now, what game is this? So here we are, zone 5 driving, but in a circle. And I'm using the log, of course, as my neutral spot. And I'm now asking him to come in smaller, now come in sideways. So this again, now I'm just starting to mix it up. And one of the things, the patterns, is like patterns within patterns. All right? So if you thought of it right now, I've got zone 5 driving, asking him to go use a porcupine game and go sideways while I'm standing on a log. All right? So like if you know anything about music, for example, a chord is a pattern of where you put your fingers on, say, the neck of a guitar. You make a pattern. All right, but then if somebody was playing the lead, it would be off of a scale. Scale is a pattern. So it's a pattern within pattern. Then if you take the chords and start putting them in order of a progression, G, C, D, that's another set of patterns. So it's like there's 3 patterns there and in a simple form. So that's really, in a sense, what we're asking the horse to do, is as we go farther and farther, be more progressive, patterns within patterns. And so it's kind of like multitasking. This is the part where you want to make sure back in level 1, you learn to be safe. Level 2, you learn to be confident and competent, and then that leads to skills. That's what level 3 is about, being skilled. Now, in order to become, to get to an expert level, to where you can start multitasking and start doing all these different things, you want to have all your skills. You want to be very skilled. And that's what level 3 was, like the objective was for you. Because once you get to doing this stuff, man, you can really start some things that an expert in any endeavor would be able to do. Then wait till you see what mastery's about. And you're darn sure not going to get there unless you're skilled and take it to an expert level. So
I think from what you've seen in the other things that we've done with Magic and with Vanna, a lot of the same things, but now from a different perspective. Again, a horse that's collected is calm, smart, brave, and athletic. And a lot of horses only show their athleticism when they get nervous or get tight. And you want to have a horse that's a negative athleticism. That's what, when a horse bucks you off, he gets athletic. What you want a horse to do is get athletic when he's calm. So let's see if we can see some of those same patterns we did before, but from just a different perspective. Can he make the turn? He's got to think his way through here. He's got to feel that rope coming around his hind leg. He's got to bring zone one. He's got to, in his mind, know what it is we're trying to ask him to do here. And once he does, you'll see that the mind and the body shape or the flexion, he gets his weight right, and then the message gets to the feet. So let's see if he gets it here first. I'm always looking to see if the horse gets the concept. His mind, his body shape, his weight, then his feet. Another way to say it is mind, flexion, weight, feet. If your horse sees what you want, then that I call and moves toward that, then I call that a positive reflex. If a horse works against you and sees what you want and does the opposite, I call that an opposition reflex. And a lot of times, I mean, when you first start the relationship off with a horse, they almost can't help but have opposition reflex, because that's their nature, to do the opposite of what predators want them to do. That's how they survive. To me, this is the game that you're trying to do, is to get horsemanship to happen. A horse and a human wantonly and willingly going somewhere together where neither one of them could go without each other. In other words, horses don't think of all this stuff. We do. But we're not strong like they are. We're not fast like they are. We're not as athletic as they are. And so this is a perfect symbiotic relationship if we will follow the laws of nature. And that's, to me, what natural horsemanship is really about, is getting both of our talents and our attributes and combining them together. And they expect us to have the leadership. They expect us to know what we're doing. Most of us don't. That's the value, I believe, in the program we're offering to you, is that we're offering you the patterns that will help you become a great leader. Again, the patterns are for the consistency, and that's the part you want your horse to have. Your job is to have the variety, to add in the imagination. Now, I don't know about you, but I was there when we did this, and this was a lot of fun, but I'm having a ball just reliving it. I'm hoping that for you, that you're sitting here going, I cannot wait to get out and play with my horse online.